Hello beautiful people, welcome and welcome back to my channel. This is called Firdaus, where we plant ideas and we harvest results. So I was having a chit chat with my friend. She's a civil servant and she's considering quitting her job. I understand because I was there before. Because when you're doing 9-to-5 job, you feel like you've been somehow trapped. And of course, poultry farming, when she sees me doing my farm work, drawing my own schedule, doing things on my own terms and all that, she feels like I'm having this kind of freedom. And of course, it feels like freedom, you know. But before you quit, let's have a chit chat, like farmer to future farmer, you know, talk. Because I know poultry farming can be very, very profitable. So many swear by it, and of course it allows you this kind of freedom, especially if you're a lady. There is this kind of freedom that comes with it. But I might want to warn you that it actually involves a lot of work. You need to get your hands dirty. Because there is a real work involved on the ground. It's not just about the videos. When you see Firdaus on the videos, making everything seem easy, poultry farming is not just about those videos. It's actually real work. And of course, I'm going to break down everything that I wish someone told me before I was like, let me go into poultry farming like full time. If you're new here, or if you just started following us on our channel, you may not know that I'm actually a former teacher and a very good teacher. A very wonderful teacher. I am a secondary teacher. Sometimes I could do part-time at universities, but time reached and I was like, no. And I'm like, let me do poultry farming. Anyway, that's a story for some other time. You should be looking forward to it. I'll be sharing my experiences and all that. You know, it was just a by the way. So I'm going to break down some of the things that you should consider before starting a poultry farm, or some of the realities that you need to know before you starting a poultry farm. I'll just fed these ladies. We are 10 weeks and 3 days, alhamdulillah. But I think it might be a bit noisy and I might have to go to somewhere which is a bit quiet. I don't want to compete with them when they are eating. They're so loud, they're so noisy. And you know, I just want us to have a serious conversation about this, you know. So to start off, before you even think about anything, do you have a plan? That's the question I actually ask most people. It's not just my friend who has asked me. A lot of you, my subscribers, come to my inbox and ask me, we want to quit our job. What do we do? How do I go about this? First, do you have a plan? Because like I mentioned, poultry farming can get it's real work. It involves a lot of real work. I've seen so many poultry farmers who have started with, maybe they go buy 500 chicks. You know, they have these vibes. They want to do poultry farming. They have all the energy. They go book 500 chicks. They have the chicken house and everything. They get them, and after a few months, actually, even before maybe production, they are broke, they are stressed, and they are cursing poultry farming. And I don't want you to be like that kind of person. So don't just go into this because you want to escape rules. You know, you want to escape rules at your workplace, or you're frustrated, or you want to escape a toxic environment at the workplace. No. When you're going to do poultry farming, for sure, I've had so many successful poultry farmers mention this, and I'm also going to mention it, like emphasize it. Do you have the savings? Before you consider like tendering in your resignation, do you have the savings? Are these savings enough? We are talking about planning. And let's say if you've decided to do layers, you have to know that you're going to feed these birds maybe for 5 solid months, just be spending on them. Like no profit, no what. So have you saved up enough? You know. So for example, me, some of you who have been following me, you know, I've done broilers. I started with 100 broilers, which was just a challenge actually from my subscriber. They challenged me to raise 100 broilers. Maybe I would say I wasn't so red by then, but It was a small number and it gave me an experience. But before I even did that challenge, I was raising locals. But I had also visited so many farmers. So before you consider quitting, make sure you have saved up enough. That's one thing I would really advise you, my friend, and everyone else who is considering to start a farm. So now that you think you have enough savings, you've saved up enough for the structure, the bills, and everything, what I want to ask you is, do you have the hands-on experience? You'd be like, I've watched a lot of YouTube videos and I think they're enough. Sweetheart, online it's different, but when it comes to the groundwork, it's a whole different story, So you need hands-on experience. You need to learn a lot of things. That means you may need to go, you might consider going to a farm and you do voluntary work. You need to do farm visits, go see how everything is done. Like you could go even like for a month. Usually most of the CS farmers, when they're organizing trainings or on their farms, they give you like a month, because they believe that in a month you will have gathered enough information, enough experience, and like you might have acquired enough knowledge about poultry farming that may be good for you to start. So before you even think about another thing, kindly gather the knowledge. And I mean hands-on knowledge. You might watch Fridaus doing hard things and all that, but it's not enough, I'm telling you. We can only just give you much, including me myself. I don't give you like everything. You need hands-on information. You put everything you've heard, everything you've watched into practice. This is when also starting small comes in. You might consider starting with a small number as you get that hands-on experience. Imagine there's so many things that have happened on my farm, and I'm just imagining if actually I had started with a bigger operation, I don't know how many losses I would be crying over right now. But since I started with a smaller number, I don't feel the pinch so much. So do farm visits, visit farmers. Actually, these days, the government, like for example, if you're living in Uganda, but even in other countries that have agriculture as their biggest industry, they organize some camps for especially youths. In Uganda, for example, there is an upcoming boot camp for youths about agriculture as a business. And I think I'll be bringing you the highlights. I've been invited officially to go and attend that boot camp. You need to attend such events, you need to attend such trainings so that you can acquire the valuable knowledge that will help you, maneuver or have a successful operation. And the other thing that I would like to share with you, kindly be ready for challenges. When we are working for other people, it's easy to complain. We can complain about them not being good bosses or not giving us salaries on time and all those kind of things. But if you're running your own operation, it's a different story. It's a different ballgame. There is no one you're going to complain to. Even when your worker makes a mistake, you actually have to own that mistake, because where were you when they were making that mistake? So, like last time I lost a couple of birds and it was heartbreaking, but I had no one to blame. I had to blame myself, for that loss. So be ready for challenges and be ready to go over those challenges when they happen. The other real talk that we want to talk about before you quit your job to start a poultry farm as full-time, the prices of feeds. I mean, feeds in general. I'm telling you, this is one of the most stressing things when you're doing poultry farming, because the birds have to eat. There's no shortcut. And of course, you have to be able to source good, you have to source quality feeds, Quality feeds, not just any feeds. There's no shortcuts when it comes to feeds, because the moment you do shortcuts when you're feeding your birds, that's when you're going to start, that's when that's where the failure comes from. So you have to have an entire plan when it comes to feeds, especially when they are at certain prices. Like when the prices are a bit low, we are advised to stock more. I've visited several farmers, but even me myself, I've realized the importance of of stocking feeds when the prices are not so high, so that especially maize. I've seen so many farmers starting to make their own feeds on their farms. They're doing this to manage the issue of feeds, but no one actually has come up with a sustainable solution to curb the issue of expenses on feeds. So my dear sweetheart, if you're planning to do poultry farming as your full-time, you need to do your research properly when it comes to feeding your birds. You need to find out which one is the best concentrate for you, because concentrates are also being contaminated by especially those brokers. Actually, the major problem, like for example in Uganda, the major problem when it comes to feeds are the brokers. These brokers, when for example you are buying maize, you're buying broken maize. If you had a chance of buying from the source, from the farmer themselves, the maize farmers, the prices are different and the quality is actually different. But when it comes to these brokers, if you find a way of eliminating these middlemen, then you're good to go. Let's talk about disease prevention, and management, because the other thing which actually disturbs most of the farmers, it's the diseases on the farm. When you're doing poultry farming, my dear, you do all it takes to make sure your birds don't get sick, because the moment the bird gets sick, you don't know how much it can cost you. So make sure you have done all the necessary measures to make sure your birds don't get sick at any cost. That means you have to enforce biosecurity. Like, be serious about biosecurity. I'm telling you, be very strict. I've visited farmers on their farms, and there are people who do not even allow visitors on their farms because they know how important biosecurity is. The moment you do biosecurity and you've done your vaccination properly, you followed the vaccination schedule properly, because a vaccinated bird will not succumb to diseases easily as that one which is not well vaccinated. So make sure you do all the vaccinations properly, you do the biosecurity. I have an interesting story about biosecurity. I remember when I just stocked my first batch of broilers, I had one pair of boots because I'm the only operator. It's like a 1 man's run farm. So I have only one pair of boots. You can see them, they are just there outside. You see? I don't know if you're able to see them. So my mother, of course, I love mothers, how they want to help, So my mother wanted to go. The birds had just arrived and just put them in the brooder, and she wanted to enter without the gumboots. I was like, Mama, please don't. And of course, if you have an African mother, you know what that means. You disrespected them so much, it can cost you your birthrights. So, but she felt offended, But it is what it is. Biosecurity, there is no compromises when it comes to biosecurity, because if your biosecurity is very well enforced, it means you're going to avoid a lot of disease spread. Now, let me ask you something else. You're so motivated to start, right? I can feel it. I was like you. But where are you going to sell your products? Where are you going to sell your eggs? Where are you going to sell your chickens when they are of age? Hey, guys, before you even think about anything, take a walk around, do market research, find out the market trends, what's going on, where you're going to sell your eggs, which product is being demanded for most in your area. For example, you might stock broilers when actually your people in your area don't eat broilers. Broilers don't do much. People maybe enjoy local chickens. I'm not saying you can't break barriers, but you must be careful with the market. In all honesty, this is what I always tell whoever asks me if they should quit their job for poultry farming as full-time. Before you quit your job, start with a small number. Start small, but while you're still employed there, because you never know. It might get tough for you. You might get stressed and maybe even run broke. So this is when you get that kind of cushion. And if you enjoy the process, you realized profits and you realized growth, this is when you can now quit your job and do it full time. For example, for me, before I quit my job, like to fully do poultry farming, I raised 100 broilers. And actually, one of the subscribers, my subscribers challenged me to do that. So there was no way I could quit my job for a challenge. Since I was already passionate about poultry farming, when I was challenged to do that for that entire month, I was like, no, I think let me now dive deep into poultry farming as full time. You see, poultry farming is a beautiful journey, and I've seen it change people's lives for sure, but it's not a magic shortcut to success. You have to treat it like real business. Learn every day, keep records, network with other farmers, and of course growth will come, but it doesn't happen in an overnight. It will take some time. So finally, to answer your question, should you quit your job from poultry farming? Maybe yes or maybe no. But whatever you decide, make sure this decision is not a rushed one. It should be a smart one. If this video has helped you, let me know in the comment section below. And if you already started your farming after quitting, also let us know about your experience. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share with other farmers so that we can all benefit. Of course, as always, this is Call Me Frida, where we plan ideas and harvest results. See you in the next video.